The changing landscape of the housing market in Las Vegas requires a real estate professional that understands how to get your offer accepted, willing to go above and beyond for service and accountability. Hi, my name is Dan French. I've been in the real estate and financing industry for over 13 years. Most real estate agents struggle with answering their phone. Please call me directly, 702-557-6176. I'm available for all your real estate needs.
Dan's a fantastic man. He really is.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome.
Hey, what is going on, everybody? This is Dan French. This is a Saturday morning recording live here from our studios in the deep heart of Henderson, Nevada. I'm your host, Dan French. And we have a guest here, actually co-host now, that's in the studio with me today. We're going to talk a lot about what's happening here in Las Vegas. And guys, everybody out there, folks, YouTubers, we are the most real and behind-the-scenes information on financing, real estate, money talk, entrepreneurs, also everything Las Vegas happening right now. So you guys want to tune into this podcast. You guys want to get all the scoop that's going on. We have a very laundry list of things we're going to talk about. Kanye West. Also, we're going to talk about Las Vegas apartment rents now sliding after soaring last year. 22%. They were up last year here in Las Vegas. We're going to talk a lot about that. A Supreme Court schedules major cases for December and the arguments behind it. And if you guys don't know, we're going to talk to Larissa. Also, new construction mixed in September. Housing completions key to mortgage rates. I'm going to talk about that. Also, just some stats. Market stats. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get Larissa. She is back. She's ready to go.
Hi.
What is going on, Larissa?
Hi, great intro.
Yeah, right? I mean, we got a lot of things happening here. So what's going on with you?
I like your intro. The videos are dope.
Yeah, they're sick, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
and somebody did a beat for you?
Oh, yeah, man. I mean, listen, I'm not like out of the game like that. Like I can recognize when there's a good beat. You know what I mean?
I'm excited for the show.
Yeah. So you're here and everybody really wants to know kind of like what you get into and as far as what your occupation is, what your thoughts are.
Why am I here? Why am I relevant?
Yeah, why are you relevant in the world of...
Why am I relevant to Dan French and the listeners?
And the listeners and what's going on in Las Vegas and your opinions and your background and just everything, right?
Sure. So, yeah, I'm Larissa Drohobyczer, and I'm a local Vegas attorney. I'm also licensed in New York State, so I'm licensed in Nevada, New York, and I'm also a real estate broker in New York. So I've been practicing law in Las Vegas for the last 10 years.
Right.
So I have a lot of experience with people, different issues. I know the real deal because people tell their lawyers what they won't tell anybody else.
Absolutely. And I think with you giving your opinion on it and then also just some stories behind it and just people want to know, like some of these topics we talk about are really sensitive topics to people and how they affect people's lives, right? And so I look at things potentially as how do you perceive it, right? How do I perceive it? We bring on guests like yourself, now a co-host, but we bring on people to kind of give a different idea. So I want to dive into a couple of things going on.
I want to stay as objective as possible. However, there are some like hot button issues with me that I'll get fired up. But yes.
Really? So we can talk about that.
Something that the listeners actually would like to know about me is I'm a STEM chick. So for the smart people, you know STEM, like science, technology, engineering, and math. So I was like very good with math in school. I got awards in math and science, and I actually wanted to be a scientist.
So usually if you're good in math, you're good in science, but you don't do well in English.
I did not until I went to law school. Because I had to write a lot more, but that's true.
So journalism is not something that you typically work with, right? Like, I mean, if you're going through that, now you had to learn that the hard way where you went to law school.
Yeah, it improved my writing a lot.
And there's a point where, you know, with reading things and understanding things, you have to comprehend it. I mean, science is like, to me, I mean, it just kind of there's a lot of big words. There's a lot of different terminologies, different things, right? Physics.
Right.
But I think with understanding journalism and how to relate to people, that's another hard position to be in. It really is.
Yeah, that's definitely an art. Was that your major?
No, I mean, I went to school. What's weird is I was good in all areas, but I wasn't great. Like, I was really good in all areas. I was like a B to B plus student on all the classes I did. I don't know if it's just I worked hard or if I was weak at things. Because you
were an athlete too, right?
Yeah, I was an athlete, but
So your time really was more into sports than school?
No, I think what it was is this. I was always somebody that worked out and took care of myself. And I was an athlete in high school, but I wasn't somebody that I didn't like get into it like that. You know how there's some people out there that's like they live and breathe it, and then they got the families like you got to go kill and just do everything. You know what I mean? Like they just
competitive and and obsessive and you didn't make it your identity. Not I know what you mean. Some athletes do make that their identity.
You know, because I always knew that. First off, I was a 6-foot white guy, right? I mean. Not saying that you're not built, but I mean, you gotta if you're gonna play basketball.
I mean, you're gonna analyze where you're at. I get it. So you're like, okay.
Yeah, exactly. So you gotta be real with yourself. I mean, it doesn't mean I wasn't athletic,
right?
But I mean, they're not gonna just sit there and the chances you getting anything. I wasn't passionate like that. So what I was passionate about was being the best that I could be, which is very weird.
That's awesome.
I was always a kid.
Self-improvement.
A big deal.
You were doing that when you were like
when
younger?
I was a kid, because when I was in high school, I always felt like I wanted to be the best at whatever it was. I mean, there was
ambition.
Yeah, you don't have to have sports to do it. It's like if you're going to go write a paper, I want to write the best paper possible.
Right. You had a very high regard for yourself.
Right.
I get that. I was the same way.
You were the same exact way.
Well, not necessarily exact way because I mean, I was a girly girl. I didn't really play sports. School, I did well. I could have done better if I devoted more effort, but I told you I was young and having fun in high school. I mean, I got B's, B plus.
Yeah, and I was
fine with that in order to have work-life balance or school-life balance.
Dude, I was a nerd too. I mean, I'll be honest with you, I was. I mean, I really focused on not doing the other things. And I don't know why I had this, but I always wanted to be different and not be the same.
Oh, me too. Oh, yeah.
People.
Not be a little, yeah.
You know what I
was
mean?
the same way. Even young, even in elementary school, I didn't buy into the buzz.
So going back to Las Vegas, let's talk about what's happening here. So in Las Vegas, there's a lot of movement with casinos and building and refurbish and rehab and adding more things. You know, the convention center.
Is that going on?
Yeah, they got more. They're adding more.
So they're trying to like revitalize Vegas?
Well, they're just pumping money back into the system.
Because of COVID? So like post-COVID, they're trying to ramp it back up, do you think?
I don't even know if it's COVID. I think it's more of Vegas just has money and they know that there's going to be people coming here to
for Raiders.
For just everything. They're going to come here and spend money, maybe gamble. They are still investing a lot of money.
Like
even when
infrastructure.
We're in a very retraction, like our economy is in a big retraction right now. We're starting to come down. Things are starting to get, obviously it's more expensive, but they're not, taking light on anything as far as spending money, as far as investors, casinos,
nice.
So to me, it makes me think that.
Makes me feel good.
The
rent's going down.
Rents are going down too.
Rents are going down, and I know why, because I just signed a new lease.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that. What do you feel like Las Vegas economically though? Like, do you feel like
I think they're getting to be back on fire. I mean, so this is my personal opinion based on my observation. I am a STEM girl, so I don't have any statistics to look at because normally I would do that. I would look at the numbers and the trends, and then I'd give you a better answer. But me personally, I think with the Raiders, I think with the Aces, I think with entertainment. Oh, speaking of entertainment, Mark Wahlberg just announced he's moving to Vegas from Hollywood.
Yeah,
and he's trying
Wahlburgers.
Yep, he's moved his family here, so he's trying to pump money into it. So.
Are you stalking him? Like, do you know where he lives?
No, I only knew about that because somebody I know in the movie Hollywood industry sent that to me. So I basically was like, okay, maybe there's gonna be an exodus.
What type of actor do you think is like an attractive actor? You don't think Mark Wahlberg is, right?
Not now. He used to be. When he was Marky Mark. I mean, he's
and
like
the Fun Bunch.
He and Dirk Diggler.
Well, I don't know why you thought that was attractive. But
Just joking. It's a joke.
I gotcha.
No, it's an off-color joke. But
I know what you're talking about.
yeah, no. So he is a good-looking guy, but now he's like 50. So I'm not like, ooh.
Yeah, but you could be 50 and still be in
he
shape.
is. He looks great. He looks great. I'm saying when he was younger, he was super hot. So he was my crush. And
he was part of the crush.
he was a crush in the 90s when he was Marky Mark in the Funky Bunch.
Wow.
Yep. And I like Johnny Depp.
Oh, you like John? Even
Yeah.
at this age, though, he's like 60, right? You don't think he's hot? Or you think he's still hot?
I think he's okay. After the trial with Amber Heard, I listened to it, so I'm kind of like on the fence now. 'Cause
Really?
He seems, maybe he could be weird if some of the things she said was true. Her allegations. No, he's cute. He's good looking. I would date him. Oh, I'd definitely date him.
Yeah. But I mean, like, if you looked at actors today, like, beyond that, like, who do you think's just, like, hot, like, at a younger age? Like, we all know, like, okay, you got...
Oh, you know who the heartthrobs are. Vin Diesel.
Vin Diesel?
The Rock, Jason Momoa. All these are, like, the heartthrobs for adult women. So the moms.
Really?
Oh, yeah, in the group text.
Whatever happened to Brainiacs? Do you like, I mean, are Brainiacs hot?
Yeah, I love an intelligent man. I do.
Right. That's just funny. So anyways, let's go back. Let's talk about Kanye West. All right. So you wanted to bring this up. I did, it's an interesting topic. So talk to me about what's going on with Kanye West.
So I'm the local celebrity correspondent because obviously I'm launching my own podcast soon, which is going to be Celebrity Fortunes.
Nice.
But so yes, Kanye West has made an announcement that he wants to buy Parler. So obviously,
what is Parler?
Parler is okay. So I'll give you the history. Some listeners might know. Parler was a right-wing app created when Facebook was censoring a lot of conservatives or individuals who wanted, because Facebook has their guidelines for conduct. So Parler allowed people to engage in conduct that Facebook didn't allow, which would be like, cursing, maybe some threats. They weren't censoring. So that was set up maybe a few years ago. But after the January 6th riots on the Capitol, it was shut down, and its popularity has waned a lot too, because there was some allegations that like the threats were made through Parler, and that was what facilitated these masses of people to, invade the Capitol. So Parler's kind of defunct. I looked at the stats. 16 million users are currently registered now since Ye has announced his intent to buy it, and like 40,000 people are active on the platform. But to me, that tells, well,
so it's separate from,
it's like a Facebook, but not Facebook, like with less rules. So you can sign up for Parler and get on Parler. It's a whole other platform, but the following is mostly right-wing conservatives.
So what you're saying though is that what these people with a lot of money are doing is, instead of just going along with things, they're trying to create their own platform.
Exactly.
And take away the police tape, right? That you
Well,
would
the
have on
censorship.
Facebook, right?
Well, here's another thing. If you have access to that many people, you have access to influence that many people. So a lot of, people buy periodicals. Jeff Bezos bought the Washington Post. Really influential people will buy media sources to influence people. It's strategic.
So my question is this though: if you're a billionaire, like that guy's got a lot of money. I mean, he's one of the richest things.
He brags he's the richest black man in the world.
Who is?
Kanye West.
Oh, is he? Okay.
That's what he says.
That's what he says. Okay, there you go.
It could be true, but
he's repping
it's
that.
okay. I mean, he wants to claim it.
He's repping it. So now let me ask you a question though. So if you're looking at those people, right? And he's done that. Why are these other people not wanting to go in and make their own platform like he's done? Meaning they change it, like maybe they make your own style of Twitter.
Exactly, because they have the resources to build. Like,
right.
Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie could build their own. Anybody influential can do this.
So
Brangelina? I'm just saying anybody, like a Kanye. I mean, if you have, millions of dollars at your disposal, and there are a lot of like celebrities who do, and they're influential. So like Bruno Mars or whoever, Kim Kardashian, she could do her own and probably be making more money. So for me, I look at it strategic, and it's good.
Depends,
He's buying low.
Yeah.
He could build it up with his influence, followers, do his thing, and maybe he'll be like a Dr. Dre, flip it later. Dr. Dre sold Beats by Dre for $1 billion to Apple. Maybe Kanye will flip it.
Wow, he sold it to Apple, huh? I didn't even know that.
Oh,
Really?
yeah, it was Beats. Okay, so Beats by Dre was an app and headphones, and I had both.
Wow.
Because I'm into music. So, in I think 2013 or 12, Dr. Dre sold the headphones and the app for music to Apple. So now that's why Apple has all the good headphone technology, because they purchased Beats.
So do you think that, and we'll say, kind of end this part of it though, I mean, as far as him, do you think he's kind of out there? I mean, I feel like he's kind of, I don't know, it's just, nobody really knows like what the next thing is going to happen from him. It's just, he's so unpredictable. He's like the great unpredictable person in this world.
Yeah,
right now.
he's like,
he's just comes off with some crazy stuff.
Do you think he's a villain?
I think he just likes to go against the opposite.
Intentionally
to either piss
be a
people off.
provocateur.
Yeah, to piss people off.
I thought that White Lives Matter, that was a provocateur move.
Yeah, he was starting. I think he was giving those shirts away to homeless too. I read
just to make a statement. I mean, he obviously doesn't think that he's black. And he's from Chicago.
But I also think it's a pull of power. Like, look, he's basically saying like look,
mocking you. Yeah.
Yeah, like I have power too, and I'm going to use my power by
exactly. And you can't hold me back or censor me.
Right. It doesn't mean it's always right though.
That's a narcissist move.
Yes, but it does mean that he is a little unpredictable, and I think he's a little off sometimes with things. But
yeah, I did too. I think
it
he's
is
very
interesting
talented.
how he thinks though.
Well, I'll just say this. Look, I think he's a talented individual. I enjoy, observing what he does, and I don't take anything too seriously, because I don't think that, I think he's talented musically and things like that, but the other part of his brain doesn't really work right sometimes. So I don't really take that man too seriously.
It's hard, right?
But
it is an interesting, it's like
when
like
they
a
start
soap
saying
opera.
crazy stuff, and then they said, he had some mental health issues, and I don't ever, there's no stigma with that. But if I get 1 + 1, I see what you're doing. I'm like, okay, did you not take your meds, or are you just being a jerk, or what you doing right now? Like you said, he's unpredictable.
You don't think that's the real him? You don't think that's the real him?
I find it hard to think that's for real, the real him, because he's a dad. He's still a person.
Yeah, but sometimes, man, it's just when you got time and you got money and you don't really have focus, you just start going a little bit further
Idle
out.
time is the devil's playground.
It's like you further out from shore.
Right? Like Howard Hughes.
Yeah. So anyways, let's go ahead and move on to the next topic. So I want to bring up, we're going to talk about rents here. It's going on in Las Vegas. And why is this important? Well, we know rents soared 22% last year. Man, there were so many people. I had people come into my, talking about the podcast here and just talking to me and calling me and trying to see if I had somebody that was a property manager to try to get the cheapest rents just to find a place. People couldn't even find a place. I remember a phone call.
I know, I was looking.
Yeah.
I was a renter in April, and now I had to re-look for another place as a renter due to some property damage again. And so I did notice the rent went down. So I definitely agree from firsthand experience that the rents are going down.
One of the things I remember last year, and I'm going to ask you your question on this, but there was a lady that came to me and was like, I'll do anything. She literally was calling everybody. She called me. She's like, I found you online and I wanted to do work with you, but I can't afford buying a house, whatever. And I said, I understand. So let me find out who I can send you to a property manager. So I literally seeked out like 4 different property managers. I finally found one. He was on the show too, but it's a great place. She found it and it was like, hey, you know what? When can I move in? It's like, well, we don't really have anything to move in right now.
Right.
And the rents, and I go, well, why are you not buying? I asked this lady and she was like, well, I'm moving from California. The challenges is that, I can't find anything and I can't afford going 20, 30,000 above list. And then,
right.
Yeah.
And they were already too high.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I get it.
Absolutely. So she was like, look, I just want to minimize my position. And
her payment. Sometimes people rent just for the payment for like a quick little whatever they got to do for a temporary amount of time. And then when they're in a better position like myself to buy, because I eventually want to buy, but certain factors, it's just not the right timing. So I get what you're saying, where that woman's coming from. Correct.
So she was forced. Yeah, she was forced for like a 6-month lease. We stayed in touch, but she was always telling me, I never forget it. It was like, she had to end up paying more for rent than she really wanted to because there was just nothing
and
on the market.
They were taxing because they all 100%. Knew they could. It was a little free for all for about a year.
So
I remember because I had clients that had to rent because
absolutely
they had a probate house. Somebody in their family died. They sold it, and then they had money, but they were looking for a place to rent, and they were like, "Oh, rent is crazy."
So apartments right now, we've seen a 2% decline in apartments. It's not much, right? $29. Now, why? Right, $29 a month. Now. but the significance of this is that I feel like it's going to continue to come down.
Yeah, it's a benchmark, like just showing the beginning of the free fall.
Please come down, because people couldn't afford it. And as they keep going up and going up and going up, I mean, I think people were just going to really start stressing out. And I feel that we've plateaued, just like we've plateaued in the housing market, because typically rents follow what the housing market does, right?
Yeah.
So let's talk about your situation. Okay, you're in a place of rent. You had an issue with mold. What are some of the challenges and steps that you went through? And tell me your story.
Oh, okay. Well, listeners, if there are listeners, and this could also be used informational for later. So I am an attorney. I don't practice landlord-tenant, but I'm familiar with the law. So as a renter, I experienced some mold, and there were mushrooms growing in my bathroom. I went away on a trip. Came back, there was a puddle of water. What type of mushrooms were those? Not magical ones. Not any ones I wanted to try.
Have you been down that magical road?
No, not with those, because I was like, oh my God, these will kill someone. Because mold, aspergillus, is deadly.
So you actually had mold and mushrooms
growing and the place was smelling bad. And I have a maid, so I was like, no, this place is not funky because of me. Like, it smelled bad because the water also got into carpet.
Wow, that's crazy, because a lot of people think that there wouldn't be mold in Vegas because the moisture in the air is less. But apparently this did happen.
Yeah, I mean, like in an enclosed home, and then with the heat. So I had mold, and so now, I've found alternate housing quickly, but it's a process. So, if any listeners ever have any issues with like their home as far as it being livable, and in the legal world, that means habitable. But for it to be safe for you to live in, all landlords have to provide habitable housing for tenants. So mine is not, because we got the mold test. We ordered testing. I'm a lawyer.
Okay.
So we ordered testing. We have to determine stats because there could be damages. So we got the test. It's mold. I'm going to leave. And now there are steps that I have to follow as a tenant to like secure my rights and deal with getting all my deposits back, and also with, maybe damages for any property damage from mold, because sometimes property that's porous has to be decontaminated if there's mold.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. So like, what is some of the things you're having to go through now? You had a transition. Are you trying to not pay rent or get your rent back? Like, what are you doing?
So under the statute, and what I've done is withhold rent until, I had a report saying whether or not the premises was habitable. Due to the high mold count in the report, it was not. So the landlord's not entitled to rent from the date, it's found to be uninhabitable. So I'm just going to make a demand for my, deposits and my prorated rent from the date that I got notice that there was mushrooms. And so I'll go through that process. If there's problems and they're not nice, then I'll just sue them, because I'm a lawyer. I can do that. Like, at very low cost. It's just my time.
Absolutely.
So, and the filing fee, and there's templates. So I'll just do it through the legal process. But I actually hired a lawyer because I'm a busy mom of two and a business owner. I just want to hire somebody and pay to have them deal with. Yeah, I don't need anything else on my plate right now.
You're very busy. So let's talk a little bit about rents, and also just kind of finalize this topic. With your situation and where rents are at, when you, like, how long you been in Vegas? You grew up here, right? Right.
Yeah.
So when you see rents go up this high, did it make you want to feel like you wanted to leave Las Vegas? Like,
no, not me, because I'm near and dear. But I could see where it would be a turnoff for people, because the rates were like inching towards California prices.
High, yeah. And so I get it. I mean, I was just curious. So
I mean, I have ties. I mean, I have a career. I've built 10 years. I have kids. I have ties. Like, if I was a younger person with no ties, I would definitely think, like, be out.
So why do you not want to buy today? Is it rates? Is that why?
Well, not even rates. Like, I'm not even, I feel like I'm in a transitional period in my life. Like, so I don't want to do a very permanent long term, because if I bought it, it'd be to live in, not as a flip. So I don't feel like my variables are such now to get me like to do make an optimal choice.
I see. Yeah, I see what you're saying. So basically it's like,
you gotta like know where you're at.
Well,
you got to stay in your lane.
So let me say this, though. If rates were 3%.
It's funny.
Right, no, you are. Stay in your lane. Stay in your lane.
Yeah, I'm staying in my lane. No, meaning like right now, okay, so a lot of my money was invested. And so like stock prices and things are down. I'm not going to liquidate to get my down payment when the prices are low. So that's one of the biggest factor. And the prices, and like, if I feel like if I'm going to buy something, I want to like aim for my dream house. And
yeah, but I mean, when do you really get a dream house? See, here's where I'm at with this, and I think if rates are low,
okay, I'm
prices
aiming
were better
for my dream house, but let me give you this reminder: if my dream house came along and I could pull the trigger, I would. So, assuming all the stars lined up, I would go after it. But I feel like right now, maybe not.
What it is you're just following just like everybody else. Rents are starting to get better. I feel we plateaued, and we're talking about
Well, the main
rents.
thing was my money. My money's invested in the market. I have a lot of money in the market, and the market's down. So I'm going to lose money if I liquidate to get a down payment or do whatever I'm got to do with cash.
But it's not a good time to buy, is what you're saying. You're just
right,
saying.
for me, even for me, I'm not following the trends. Like, I'm looking at my variables, and I'm like, this is not a good time. If the market were to elevate, and let's say I could break even or make money, then I'd reassess.
So we can say that there's a time to rent, and I'm bringing this up because I think it affects a lot of Las Vegans and people in general. This is across the country. I think rents are going to start to come down, and this is a good thing because I think home affordability, rent affordability was a problem. So you're saying that where your money's invested right now is you're losing money wherever the stock market is, whatever it's in. Now, here's my thing though, is that if the housing market was down still, and if rates were still at 2.5%, 3%, probably going to lean that direction, even though timing, I'm not saying you're going to for sure, but this really pushed it out the window, right? I mean, you basically said, well, once these rates went up, once the housing market went up,
and once the the market kind of crashed. Well, I'm not like a no chancer, but I just know based on where I'm situated, it may be a little more challenging than it would have been when the rates were lower and the market was higher. But if the opportunity came in my dream house, it was the right price, everything, I loved it, then I would try to pull the trigger because I'm also that kind of buyer. Like,
have you ever been in a position? Yeah, but you don't want the commitment. I mean,
if it was my dream house, though, like if I walked in and I knew it, I'm like, if it's love at first sight.
Well, I mean, I guess that does happen, but I don't know if that
not with the house.
Everything.
I've been to some dope houses. I've been like, this is the bomb.
So let's kind of move forward on this. So we all agree that rents are getting better. We wanted to bring this here. She had a story about it, so we wanted to talk to her about it. And I mean, I see it. I see what's going on. I think it's more attractive now.
You own though now, right?
Yes, I do. Yeah.
So you're good because you're not looking to rent or buy.
I mean, listen, I don't know if anybody's ever good. I just feel that
you're not in the market to purchase because you have a home.
Well, I'm always looking. We're always looking. The point is, though,
investment.
For anything, right?
Okay.
Just to plant your money, do what you. But I think it's like this: is typically if you have something that you're going with, something that you really like for instance, if you wanted to buy a primary residence, you would do whatever you can to do it. You're not really confident. Like you're not confident. You're not in on it.
Right.
You're not
yes.
like, hey man, I'm in the trenches. Like I'll tell you who's in on it. People that go and call you every day and say, hey, I want to buy a house. This is what I got.
Because they've already like decided time to freaking quit renting.
Right. It's
yeah.
time.
Like when you're done, you're done.
When you're done, you're done. So I don't know. I think with rents getting better though.
I think it could be though, like in about 6 months maybe.
We'll see.
We'll see. I'm just putting it out there. You gotta.
Let's move on. So we got another topic here. I want to bring up Supreme Court schedules major cases for December arguments. Now, what is this? Like,
what is this?
What like? Why would somebody?
Why
even
does
want to
anybody
know,
care?
Or why is this significant?
Oh, okay, so being a lawyer, obviously the court system is one of the branches of the government, the judiciary. So the Supreme Court basically interprets federal laws and can basically rewrite laws. So any major issues that are federal issues that are big enough controversy to go through a trial court, court of appeals, and get to the Supreme Court is like a hot button issue. Not necessarily controversial, but there's arguments of law and there's facts to decide. So the cases that are going in front of the Supreme Court are cases that relate to LGBTQ rights and voting rights. So those are very important issues.
But what is all this? This is a lot of jargon that maybe people don't understand. What is this?
Okay,
so my thing is this. You're
okay, so these issues are now going before the highest court of the country.
Issues of what?
Okay, so let me get you the exact issues. I'm going to read it straight from the article.
Straight from the horse's mouth.
Yep.
Not you. I'm not saying you're.
Okay, the Supreme Court on Tuesday, which was 2 days ago, released their argument calendar. And there's 2 highly anticipated cases that could reshape facets of American life. One on elections law and the other on LGBTQ protections. Can never
What
say
is that?
LGBTQ protections. Lesbian, gay. Wait, let me look at it. I gotta look at the letters. Lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer protection. So protections based on your sexual orientation and
So that's a big deal
sexuality.
in Vegas, huh? You think? You think that's a big deal in Vegas?
I think Vegas is liberal with gay rights, but I think it's a big deal in America. Very big deal. Because I lived in the Bible Belt. I went to school in Missouri, undergrad in law school, and I've traveled. And so different parts of the country are a lot more conservative with that. And, you know, I am full-fledged for all human rights. So I'm a supporter of LGBTQ. I actually did an adoption for 2 husbands who adopted a daughter.
Really?
I sure did. I did it pro bono too.
Really? How did that work out?
They got the adoption. We did the adoption. That was a few months after my son was born in 2018.
Wow.
And one of them was my friend's.
Wow.
My husband.
Wow, that's
That
pretty
means
crazy.
gay husband. Husband.
Husband. Wow, that's pretty crazy.
Yeah, so I did their adoption. So yeah, I'm an ally. I believe in all human rights. And so yeah, the court's going to be deciding the issues with regard to LGBTQ rights, and that will be binding on the federal laws.
I love it. I love it. So take me down the process of like, how does this whole process work? Like when you say this is important, tell me what the process is and why it's important and how it kind of gets finalized.
Okay, so a basic primer on the legal system. So there's 3 levels of courts for federal courts, and that would be the trial court, appellate court, and Supreme Court, which is the highest court. So the only issues that are going in front of the Supreme Court are federal issues. So interpretations of federal law, anything that involves the Constitution and rights LGBTQ, that's, you know, your rights under the Constitution. So if there's a federal case and it goes through the levels of the courts, so the trial court, then court of appeals, it will then get to the Supreme Court. But in order for it to get there, it has to meet some requirements. So not all cases get there. But once it gets there, which takes years sometimes from when a case is initiated, you know, the decision.
Every one of them gets to Supreme Court, or is it?
It's only the cases that don't get decided from the Court of Appeals. Based on a federal issue or constitutional issue. And then if it can get appealed higher to the Supreme Court, then it gets heard.
Okay.
But a lot of so in order for a case to even get to the Supreme Court, God, this is taking it back to law school. There must be a controversy and it must be right and the person must have standing. Ooh, I could still pass the bar, baby. So when the cases get there and get decided, they are going to be binding laws on Americans through the court system, interpretation of laws, federal laws, issues, and the Constitution.
That's crazy. So that's why it's significant. Because
this is going to affect people. Even if you're not LGBTQ, it could affect somebody you know.
There you go.
Your family member, parent, friend.
Okay.
If you own a business, it's going to affect you. I mean, if you own a business, all businesses... Not all, but there's like the Commerce Clause to the Constitution where the feds can regulate, you know, interstate commerce. So this can affect a lot of people. And so I gave you a little Cliff's Notes.
There you go. Is the court system here is, I mean, I don't know what you've dealt with, but what is your typical, like, what do you typically deal with on somebody that you're working for?
Okay. So like the issues I deal with as a lawyer are state issues because I do probate law, estate planning. I don't really deal with any federal issues.
Okay.
So I'll just deal with local, like, you know, trial courts or, you know, 8 judicial court with judges and commissioners.
Okay.
So the Supreme Court issues will go through like a local federal court. So there's 2 courts here. There's the state court and then there's federal. Yeah. I'll take you on a tour.
Take me on a tour. So that's good. So let me say this.
So I am admitted to practice in federal court. I just don't.
So if you have somebody that has an estate, right? And and you say you had a trust or will or whatever. Let's say that they put it in the trust and now they want to sell that house through an estate. How does that process work and who represents the parties involved.
Okay. So I want to make sure I get your question right. So if somebody passes away and they leave an asset in their estate without a trust or with the trust?
With a trust.
Okay. So if the home is in the trust, then whoever they name as a successor in their trust documents will step in and follow the instructions they left regarding, how the asset should be distributed at their death.
Got it.
Okay. So then if there's no trust and it has to go through probate court, that's state court, and we set up an estate with the court, we have to get an EIN, set up an estate with the IRS. In a lot of cases, some cases we don't, but depending on the assets and the income of the estate, you're going to have to set up an EIN. And it's all done through local courts. So just, state court. Because the state courts, there's a whole lesson on that, what state courts cover and what federal courts cover. But
yeah, we'll get into that later. But I think it kind of, so the reason I bring this up is there was somebody that was trying to sell their house and it was through an estate. And it's almost like, do you as an attorney or somebody representing the family, you have to get it listed. So it's got to be on the MLS, I'm assuming,
so if the person dies and the home is only in their name, that will be an estate. Mm-hmm. So the person who can list it would be the person with the legal authority. And the person with the legal authority is going to be appointed by court. So they would have a court order appointing them as an executor or an administrator.
I see.
So just because they say they have a particular relationship, that's not going to be dispositive of if they have the legal authority. The documents from court will say who actually has the legal given authority to transact business or conduct matters on behalf of this dead person.
Got it. All right, so let's keep moving. Let's move on to the next topic, which we want to bring up. So one of the topics I want to talk about also is new construction has mixed numbers in September here, not just in Las Vegas, but across the country. And why is this significant? Well, if you look at the housing market and the new home sector, the housing market itself and new homes really dictates or can dictate how the direction of the market's going to go. Now, we've seen 8% decline for new home sales last month. We've seen, I think this is 8 years that we've seen where there's declines. Home builder sentiment is down.
What do you think the ultimate decline will be? I'm just asking, what do you think home prices will ultimately decline to, bottom out before they jump back up? What percent, decrease? Would you guess?
I mean, here's where we're at today, and it's a good question. Vegas is different, and I always say Vegas can hold, it's not the same market because it will always have people willing to come out of state and buy in this market. So at 450, right around 450. Now I've seen numbers. We're going to look at these numbers here in a second. But at 450, we've seen that's kind of where we've stabilized. 450,000. So you're saying how far have we come down? 30,000.
Okay.
I feel we can potentially go down another 30 to 35,000. That's what I think.
Okay.
Now the new home sector, right? If you talk about new homes, they are kind of the barometer because you look at what they're doing right now. They're building, but they're not building new. They're not recreating new. The separation between new and resale is really their competition, right? I mean, if you look at the resale position of buying a house that's a resale and not a new home, you look at the fact that with resale, you now have those higher rates. So does the builder. That's a death sentence to the builder.
Yeah, that went up since COVID because the supply chain got disrupted, right? It wasn't wood, or supplies were
well, materials in general
went up in general, yeah.
Yeah, but I think as a builder's standpoint, they look at it and they say, well, what is the builders doing right now? They're not rebuilding, and that kind of tells you that to get out of this inflation position, a lot of builders or a lot of the economy would thrive because that's part of our sector. The builders need to keep rebuilding, but the builders are not in it to lose money. They're in it to profit. They're in it for themselves, right? They're in it to profit as much money as they can. And I think there's a misconception, builders are just supposed to keep building properties and that's just all it is. And, no, they're in it. The reason they stopped is the month supply is high, right? We have a high month supply. It's also high rates. And so why would you rebuild or keep building?
Exactly.
So they've gotten to a point where I feel that they know what they're building and they've kind of stopped, or they're not taking on new project as much. Maybe it's different here in Las Vegas, but I think across the country, you see builders slowing down. And I think that's what's contributing to our problem because they also, they can't just cut it off. They can't just say, okay, we're going to shut the faucet off.
Right.
Because they are part of the sector of of actually, creating this economic boom or gross domestic product. They're a big part of this. The housing sector is like 1/3 of the sector of gross domestic product, with all the different jobs and things that it offers, right? So I'm just saying, if you look at builders and seeing it slow down, it also tells me with the confidence, loss of sales, high rates, I don't see this changing anytime soon. Now, I've heard people tell me first quarter of next year, into first quarter,
I heard that too.
We're going to start to see this. We'll see, right?
We'll see.
But I think with the builders' position and this mixed numbers that we saw in September, we're going to go over the September numbers. I think it's a challenge right now. And to me, it tells me that if the builders aren't building and things are this stagnant, I can't see how we're going to come out of this by January. I could be wrong.
I got a question, though, a little off topic, but not. Fountain Blue, when are they supposed to finish that? I just drove by that hotel today.
So that's
the big
part
abandoned
of a
eyesore.
Yeah.
I know. I'm just saying this is Vegas talk. Like,
well, I mean,
have you heard any news on that?
No, I mean, Fountain Blue, I think, is going to be finished this year. But
didn't they hold it or stop construction?
They didn't have investors. The investors fell out.
Okay.
They backed out, so they had to get new investors, and then they had to recreate it. I think it's now going to become the Drew. I believe.
Okay.
I believe that's what it is. But I mean, I think with these mixed numbers in Las Vegas, even though the housing market is very unstable. I feel housing affordability is really bad right now in Las Vegas still.
What about those programs? Is the zero down payment assistance or something? Does that help people at all in your experience?
I mean, even with those programs, though, they're not really helping people get into a house what they can't afford. And it's not pushing people in the market. If you can't afford it, you can't afford it.
Right.
Right. And so I think that's where people are at right now is they're waiting to these things to come down. They're waiting for rates to hopefully stabilize and come down, which we haven't seen. But I think if you look at Las Vegas in general and the economy, I mean, look, we're still holding strong at 450. I know that if you go over the last 7 days, we're going to look at this. I think we've dropped to like 438. But I can tell you that that's where we're at right now. That's where the issues are at. So what are your situation? I mean, what do you think about this mixed reviews or the numbers you see in September? Do you feel that people are still really retracted here in Las Vegas from buying altogether?
No,
I
don't. Not altogether. Nope.
Okay.
I still think there's people moving here for jobs.
Well, I mean, look,
coming to Vegas.
Yeah, you got casinos building and expanding.
I feel like, I don't feel like it's going to be the frenzy it was, but like depending what happens in California, that'll influence like how many people move to Vegas. Yeah. Like when California had an earthquake in the 90s, a ton of people, like every time something crazy happens in California, they all come to Vegas.
Well, they come to Vegas. I mean, and so
there's masses like COVID, after COVID, all the people came.
Yeah.
I feel like if something else happens of it, like if there's an earthquake or something crazy, then more people come. So I feel like Vegas is an outlier. You really can't base. I don't know. I'm just talking.
It is, but I also feel that there's numbers and data that we're supporting this with. And
correct.
And what I feel is that even though we're declining, I feel that there is a recession. We're in a recession. I think we're in a housing recession now. I really feel that way. The unemployment numbers are still low, right? And it's just, you see in Vegas, we keep expanding or, changing something or adding another, some type of building or something. I mean, there's always seem like there's jobs here. So I don't see why.
Right.
Are we really going to be in a full-on recession where people are going to just be out of work and they can't find somewhere else to pay a bill? I think that's kind of, you get what I'm saying? Like, right. I don't know, maybe across the country it will, but the mixed reviews, I'm not too worried about Las Vegas. I think home affordability is still a problem. And I think builders' completions, right? Them completing homes and the way that they've structured this and how slow they've done this, where, let's be honest, I mean, they know what's going on, but it does show a huge position on where they're at mentally with this market. And also for the separation, they're only $5,000 between an average resale median home for single family residents versus buying a new home right now.
Yeah, then why would you buy new?
Huge difference before.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
I would definitely buy new because then you're like, I mean, duh. I mean, like things wear out. There's wear and tear and maintenance. So
you would buy new, but what if you get a better deal on a resale?
Well, I guess it would depend like on how good the deal was and if I was going to live there or sell it.
Because I'll tell you, I was talking to people and we've kind of went back and forth on this. They were like, well, Dan, so tell me the pros and cons of buying new versus existing. And I was like, well, if you're buying a new home, let's say 8 months ago, 9 months ago, you're way, your price point for a resale home versus that, the builder's making a ton of money. They're all about profit, right? They're just crazy. They're killing it. Now it's such a small difference. Maybe you go in and you ask them for things at the builder's spot too. And also, what if the seller's willing to just drop it 30, 40,000 now, which they're doing, and they give you closing costs?
Oh yeah, when they drop it that much though, that's what it should have been. Because you have to understand, I feel like the prices got inflated because all those people were buying over list.
Well, it's what it should be, but not in this market now. What I'm saying is that people are desperate. So the desperate buyers before to buy a house, the sellers it's now flipped. The sellers are desperate.
Buyers
to do
market.
Anything they can
to unload. And I'm not saying they're going to just give it away. But right, they're not going to be foolish, but they have a little more incentive to play ball.
Right, exactly.
Before they were like, nope.
Well, let's keep moving. I want to also talk with a little bit more about what other things you wanted to talk about here today. Do you have any other topics?
Well, I just want to make an announcement. I've mentioned my podcast.
Yes.
Not only that, I'm going to be, my goal is I've set the intention out to do more educational content.
There you go.
To be out there.
But you do events, right? You do
I do events, but then, I've heard from different people that because of their extended use on social media, they've explained to me they don't feel like they're getting the stimulation they need from it. This is a nutshell analysis of the conversation I've had.
I'm confused.
So people now are going on social media and there are a lot of stupid videos, but I actually want to post videos that matter. Like, okay, I mean, I hate to be dramatic, but like domestic violence or things that matter to people. If you're facing an eviction, like short little clips, just better content to like educate people.
What I've noticed
and
is that
also for me to like, get followers, and that will in turn help me like with my practice. But I think me setting out content that is valuable information is something I want to do. I don't want to just post stupid little dance videos.
I'm going to say this is that we all know that being a profession. Look, man, I love doing this podcast. I'll be honest with everybody out there. I want to help people. I really want to take care. I really do.
I believe you too.
I'm really serious about it. Like,
You're sincere.
You think I would put all this together if I was just like, it's about me and being a narcissistic type of person and just, make the show called the French Workbench Podcast.
French Workbench.
Yeah, French Workbench. But,
that was pretty. Did you come up with that yourself?
Of course.
That's creative.
Well, I have a creative mind sometimes. But my thing is that you look at the situation, and I'm trying to say that it's hard to be in a professional environment, like a professional field. People have speculation on how realtors and how they perceive lenders and how they perceive people. It's still a very hard position to be in. You have to have
a very professional appearance and decorum. And you're your brand now. So if you're going to step into the game on social media or digital, anything, people have to understand that now they're their brand. So anything you post wacky, people are going to associate with you. Or if you post mean, demeaning or nice, kind, inspirational,
I really don't. I don't get affected by it. I do think that sometimes I want to respond to things.
I'm not even on there. I've been so busy.
Well, I'm going to bring this up because I think a lot of just followers and people, not my followers, but people in general, this is not the sexy part of watching YouTube and stuff. Like our professions are very boring. Would you agree? Like being like real estate's flash, right? Real estate, you go out, you show a house, dude. Who doesn't want to see the eye candy, which is selling a house? Like who couldn't put a video out that? And I do it too. I'm not gonna sit here, but it's so easy, right? I'll get more people to watch those videos that are, you're looking at different things like, something that has eye candy. Right, distractions versus like lending or versus like real estate or something. It's not the sexy part.
I know it's not, but believe it or not, people are going to these sources to get information. They are. So you will get a captive person because with your keywords, if they're looking for this and you come up.
So I'm going to ask you a question though. Do you feel that people now that have content, they're not in the deep, like there's a completely different, it's like a back office to a company. Like you might know the front desk, and you might know how the front desk works. And this is
This is like an organization.
Yeah, well, it's an organization, but that's kind of how you look at a company with either real estate or lending or whatever it is because you have the front desk information on how the process works in the front desk. There's such a bigger department in the back or so many things in the back that are
Yeah.
different layers that people
Back of the house.
Yeah, and I think with
That was
people
a
today,
restaurant reference.
Yeah.
Did you ever work in food service?
No.
There's front of the house and back of the house.
Oh, and food service. Yeah.
Yeah, so back of the house and the front desk, front of the house.
Oh,
so
yeah,
there's
yeah,
all the
I
things
got
going,
you.
underwriting, all the stuff
Yeah, yeah.
y'all got to do that people don't know about.
Well, it's just even in the real estate world, it's the same thing. Like, what do you do?
Especially in law. Whew. They think what
that's
we do
what
is
I'm
law and
saying.
order.
So
Nope.
in the real estate world and in the, the
Legal field, probably accounting, any profession, yeah.
I just feel that what it does is it empowers people that watch these. So the ones that are out looking for a house, they're going to tune in and they're going to be the ones that see
Correct.
it. But the people that are looky-loos or they're just
Yeah.
like, they're not going to,
They're gonna
they're going to be
bypass
like,
it 'cause
oh,
they
this
don't-
is boring.
Exactly.
I can't relate. This is
Yep.
not what I'm into because it's not me, like Jackass.
But
like,
I would
like
say
that show.
this.
Like if it's not entertaining like that or somebody's like, oh, what the hell did that person just do? This is like
See,
boring to them.
To a degree, I agree. Like, it's not flashy, it's not sexy, but I feel like they're the people who are the audience are still human beings. So in the back of their mind, they may be thinking, hey, I need to get a damn house because this landlord's trying to evict me and be stupid or whatever. So like, they may not have that on their mind, but if a video comes up, I feel like being a reinforcement, and then they could see you as an expert. So I think it's good to sprinkle content. Just, you never know.
Absolutely.
Cast a wide net.
Absolutely. So let's go over here. Let's kind of move over. I want to talk about what's happening here with, we can talk about rates here really quick. So we all know that rates have gone up and we can see this here, 6.92%, right? And that's a discount. So what does that mean? Well, it's going to cost you over a point or right around a point to get this at a 30-year fixed mortgage. Okay, so that's a big deal. We see that obviously if you weren't buying the rate down with that 1 point, it would cost you a lot of money, right? So we see rates continuing to soar, and it's going to continue to have a problem for home affordability here in Las Vegas. I see it, man. I mean, people are struggling, and they're having issues. So I want to talk about also what's happening in the market. So let's go over to this. I'm going to see if this is this list here. Okay, so here's the PowerPoint presentation I wanted to go over. I was looking at this. This is of September, and you have 2,000 units sold. Number of new listings is 3,376. Average median price is still $450, right? This is for the month of September. And so you look at units sold is down. You look at for both condo and townhome, this is 270. And I'm just looking at these numbers, and the 450 has been stabilized. And so I want to jump over and I'm going to say why this is important. So if you look at this is single family residence, and this is where we're at right now in this month of this is September. But you can see we hit this line right here in August and September. Now, does that mean it's going to stay here at 450? No, and I'm going to tell you why it's not staying here. Because if you look here, we're now at 438 median price point. Now, as these rates keep going, we know that it's a weird world right now. A lot of weird stuff going on. This world is just not. It's just not a stable position, and we can't really predict what's happening. But I feel that we're going to continue to come down because you have interest. The interest right now. Rates that are really high. Also, inflation is high. And so what is the Fed going to continue to do? They're going to continue to raise rates. And we're at 438 right now in the last 7 days. So I feel if they raise the Fed's fund rate again, like I said, they're going to do it in November. They're going to do it in December. I feel we're going to hit this number probably of 415 to 420 probably by the first part of the year. And again, people are telling me that the first quarter of 2023, we're all going to start to see things get better. Rates are going to start locking in. This might push into the middle part of next year. Fannie Mae came out and said, we're going to nosedive next year. We talked about that on the last podcast, but I can't see. I hear a lot of people telling me that that's not true. It's really things are going to turn around in the first quarter. So it's going to be very interesting to see. I don't think anybody has a crystal ball on what's going to happen. We just follow this data. And that's it, So I think with what we see here, let's go back here. I want to see new listings real quick. So new listings, it's down. Okay, well, maybe it's because it's October, right? Maybe it's this time of year. You see that. Homes for sale, right? That's down. We were at pushing over 11,000. Now we're at 9,000 for single family residence. Let's see if it's all types. So we're at 12,000. Think about that. 12,000 homes on the market right now. So we have that going on. And then let's look at month supply. It continues to go up, 3.5 months. That's a big deal here in Las Vegas. And then also, let's put days on the market before it's sold. So that's We have an average of, what is that, 26 days? And so it's just going to continue to go up. I think we're in a very healthy market. I'm sorry, not a healthy market, but we're starting to get to a market where you see a lot more opportunity for people out there. And a normal market is what I'm saying is at 30 days. So I feel that we're starting to see a real increase in the amount of homes out there. We're starting to see an increase in people out there looking and trying to really search for whatever, they're really picky. Like it's not uncommon now to go through 10, 15 properties just because there's so many properties out there in Las Vegas, especially in that 400 to 600 price range. So this is all very interesting information. If you guys are out there looking and want to get more information, I'm going to give you guys my contact information. You can email me, you can contact me, we can go over this list together. I understand though, man, right now, and I'll just tell you, most people are not looking to buy right now. I'm just going to tell you, they're waiting on the sidelines. They're going to wait till next year, and they're going to see what happens. And I get it, but you might be missing something. There might be an opportunity out there that you really get into. I'm considering, and some people have considered, prices of homes at $650, offering $575 and potentially getting it. That's $75,000 less, because now you're looking at it going, my house is on the market 60 days, 80 days. I better do something if I'm a seller.
Yeah.
And so now you might be able to get an opportunity. And I'm just saying, don't go buy because I'm telling you and because we're out here telling you, hey, this is what you need to do. Go buy because it makes sense. And that's what I'm saying. But this might be an opportunity for you really to take advantage of a market, even with those higher rates, because look, I feel rates are going to come down, and then you could refinance into a lower rate. You have the home you want, and you got a really good deal on it. So I don't know. I mean, it's a case by case, but
yeah, you're right.
Those are the numbers. You have anything else to say before we leave? I know you got about your events. I got a busy day today. I really have a lot going on. I'm just all over Las Vegas.
Yeah, that's all professionals and parents, I feel like.
That's all it is, man. It's like I'm getting pulled 10 different directions. So any last words?
Hope everybody has a great, safe weekend.
Yeah.
If you need to contact me, you can reach 702-999-4444 or reach me on the web at larissa@law.com, www.larissa, Larissa, @atlaw.com.
Yeah. Let me ask you this. So what do you specialize in? I think I just want to pitch that one more time. We'll have your information.
Yes. I specialize in estate planning, probate, real estate, personal injury, and wrongful death. Car accidents, stuff like that. Happens all the time.
All right, guys. So you know the channel, the most real behind the scenes on everything Las Vegas. I'm not going to go through the whole list. You know what I do. Financing, real estate, money talk, entrepreneurs. If you guys are out there, you guys have any questions, please let me know. Love to help you out. We're giving you a week-by-week basis on what's happening in this market. And I'm Dan French. Subscribe, like the channel, hit the notification bell, and we'll see you guys at the next one. I'm out of here. Thank you for watching the French Workbench Podcast. You can find us here every Tuesday at 6 p.m. and Saturday mornings at 10 a.m. to find out all the information on real estate and financing here in Las Vegas. Also, check us out on our LV Home Professionals website. You can find your future home there, a lot of good information, and you can find